and welcome to the Grace Under Pressure podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Willis, and today I have two wonderful women with me discussing rolling in the Masters divisions and how life is a little bit different from maybe the adult division. And so I would love to have them introduce themselves. Heather or Alex, would you like to start?
I'm Alex, and I've been training for about 2 years. And I moved to Louisiana from Colorado, and my kids started training and competing. And another mom said, "Hey, you want to do that with me? If I do it all, you'll do. If you do it, I'll do it." I said, "Okay, done." And I've been doing it ever since.
Awesome.
Hello, I'm Heather DeSalvo. I've been training about 2 years. My husband is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I have a little gray belt son and a little yellow belt son. They've both been training for a long time, and I finally thought, well, why not me too? We spend a lot of time at the gym, so I might as well get some exercise in.
Hey, there you go. And I think y'all both lead a women's class down there on Wednesday nights, correct? At Excelsior?
We do. We started Alyssa Lott, one of the founder's daughters. She was running the women's class, and then it kind of got passed on to us. We didn't want women's class to die, so we're really excited. We're growing it in Zachary now. And we've got a wide range of adults and kids in the class, but only ladies.
Only ladies, yes. So that's something that I feel like so few gyms have the ability to offer a women's only class, because they may only have one or two women, and it's kind of difficult to have a class with just a one-on-one session. It becomes a private tutoring session.
Yes, very true.
And we figure that, some days we have more adults, some days we have more kids, but if we can, get even younger girls to come train, then we're growing our program. Eventually they'll be, young adults, teenagers, and women one day. So.
Absolutely. So now, both of y'all compete? What's that look like for y'all?
I have only done a few in-houses. It's very hard when you are over 40 to find people to compete with. So there's that challenge.
Right.
But I'm not close to competing again if I can find somebody to compete with. Mm-hmm. What about you, Miss Heather?
So I started competing about 3 months into my jiu-jitsu journey as a very, very brand new white belt, and got smoked at my first tournament. And I've kind of been addicted to it ever since. I've done multiple IBJJFs at this point, but I suffered a pretty catastrophic leg injury in February. So I have been out of the competition circuit, much to my chagrin. There's a competition coming up at the end of July that I'm watching. I have about 10 days left to register.
Mm-hmm.
I've been talking to my orthopedic, seeing if he thinks I can do it or not. So it's kind of up in the air. I really, really enjoy competing. I think it pushes me as a person, and it really pushes my jiu-jitsu to limits that I don't really see in class. And then it's also exciting to get to go, compete and roll with women that are my age and my weight.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm, I'm an old lady and I'm a smaller lady. And so in predominantly male classes, it's very difficult to find partners that are my size. And so a lot of times I get paired up with teenage boys. Which can be problematic in itself.
I can't imagine why. But no, I know that I remember seeing you in that in that bionic leg kind of cast, and you didn't break it competing. You broke it during just regular class, didn't you?
No, I was in a regular class. We were doing Shark Tank, and it was our last Shark Tank for the night.
Oh no!
I really, really wanted to pass my training partner's guard. I was stuck in a De La Riva hook, and I went to pop her De La Riva hook out, and my foot got stuck, and so my leg went one way, and the bottom half of my leg went the other. So I I had a traumatic patella dislocation. My patella actually went all the way behind my leg. And so I broke my patella. I tore my MPFL, partially tore my MCL, and I had pretty extensive tendon and nerve damage. So, but I'm almost 5 months out. I'm finally getting to where I can train almost regular, I'd say. I did a lot of drilling about 8 weeks after injury. I got back on the mats, and I would drill with my husband. So it's been interesting coming back from an injury like that. I've never had anything like that before, as far as like a major joint injury. So
I pray you never have one again. Say that again.
I'm excited to have Heather back as a training partner because she was my favorite person to drill with. And just this last week, I finally gotten to drill with her again.
Yeah, old lady sticking together.
We got to look out for each other, man.
That's right.
So that brings up a great question as far as every, jiu-jitsu, practitioner, competitor, they've got to recover. And so what is that recovery process like from something as traumatic as dislocating and tearing up your knee? And even, just the everyday aches and sores and the things that creak when you get out of bed in the morning. So what is that like?
One of the things I think that I have really learned from my injury is that while I love jiu-jitsu, I do have to take time for recovery. But I've also had to really invest time into strength training. My orthopedic told me that if I wanted to get back into competing again, that I was going to have to bulk up my VMOs in my legs. And I was like, I don't even know what that is. So I've started a strength training regimen. I also do a lot of stretching. I've started kickboxing since the injury. I don't kick very well because I'm still in braces on my leg.
Of course.
But one of the things my husband's really big on is, for his jiu-jitsu, he's very big on you've got to lift weights as well. And it seems counterintuitive. Like it seems like it wouldn't be productive to lift weights because then your jiu-jitsu suffers. But I think it's actually good for it, I guess. I also take a lot of supplements at night to help ease the pain. And I'm not going to lie, I'm sore a lot.
Right.
But I definitely think post-injury, the mindset shift has been very beneficial to me. Like I'm not in it to quote unquote win it now. I'm in it for the long haul. And so it's very important for me to take care of my body, especially as I get older.
Oh yeah, of course. I think, and what you were saying about lifting weights somehow being counterproductive, that reminds me of back in the day, just because I happen to be reading basketball nonfiction stuff right now. Why? I don't know. But they thought for the longest time, if you lifted weights in basketball, it's going to slow you down. Meanwhile, now we know, you get in the gym and you lift some weights, man, these people are now basically airborne, right? So it's doing it in the right way, not trying to be like a Mr. or Mrs. Olympia, where you're all bulked up, but, also,
well, if you look at the high level jiu-jitsu athletes, a lot of them do have weight regimens in addition to their jiu-jitsu practice.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know when I had my first knee surgery, not as horrific as yours, but I had no leg muscles, and they said, okay, you've got to strengthen your knee. Otherwise this could happen again. Because my joints, I'm so gangly naturally that my joints will pop out and all that kind of fun stuff. It doesn't hurt me, but it's eventually going to pop and not come back in. So, but I know you both have families that are involved in jiu-jitsu. So is your recovery something that you've learned and are passing on to the other members of your family? I know you mentioned, Heather, that your husband has influenced your recovery. Alex, how are you influencing your kids' recovery? That kind of stuff.
Honestly, I don't think I've given it much thought because they're so young and we have natural days off. So they only do it like 4 days a week, I think, right now. So they get that day here and there in between, which for me and them seems to be like enough recovery unless I push really, really hard. And then I find a good salt bath helps.
Ooh, yeah.
As far as my kids, my youngest son isn't quite as active as my older son. My older son, he's 9 and he thinks he's going to win like IBJJF Worlds tomorrow. So we've actually started putting him not on a weight regimen, but he's on a body weight regimen where he's doing push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, things like that on his days off. And that's not us pushing him to do that. That's him, wanting to improve. So he's asked, what can he do, to help his jujitsu on his days off? And that's something that we do. We also drill a lot at home. We have a mat room and we do a lot of jujitsu around here. They feel like we eat, sleep, and breathe jujitsu.
I sense no problems with that.
But that is something, that again, my husband passed on to me, but really didn't click until earlier this year. And that just from my son seeing us, he's kind of started mimicking that behavior.
Well, that's great. I mean, because kids, they really do. I mean, this as an educator, kids just really they're sponges. They pick up everything that they see just about. So that's good to be modeling, some good, drive to keep going at it, even when you're sore, and then just good, healthy habits as far as, okay, take a breath, let's keep, take a beat so that you can keep going.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I know that was something, back to something you said earlier, Alex, about you're not closed off to finding a competitor, competing if you can find a competitor. So yeah, let's talk about how that's a struggle sometimes to find somebody, your experience level and your life experience level as well. What is that disheartening when you can't find anyone? What is that like?
It was frustrating because I did a couple of in-houses and everybody was like smaller than me and younger. And I want to see what I can do against somebody my own size and weight and such. But I'm finding there's not that many out there. And if there are, they don't want to compete. They're in it more for like personal growth and like health, like keeping active. And I was very frustrated. That's like, but then I think about it and it's like, I'm not as aggressive as my friend Heather here. So like, I really was proud of myself, how I did in the in-house. And I would like to push myself more, but if I'm unable to because of unavailable people, because I'm 41 years old now, it's not the end of the world for me, because I truly love jiu-jitsu. Like, it's so much fun. Like, sometimes it throws people off because I'll laugh during a roll when they're trying to choke me. Because I truly enjoy pitting myself against someone else and seeing what I'm capable of.
Oh yeah, no, if nothing else, it's just the confidence, compared to other women, your age or Miss Heather's age or my age. It's like, yeah, I can handle myself. I'm a tough one. Yeah, for sure. And I think, and just to kind of echo that sentiment, it's tough. I'm 31. I'm in the Masters 1 division. The only time I can find people my age are in the IBJJF events, and it's usually going to be the big ones like no gi pans or obviously the Masters, but sometimes even those local tournaments, sometimes it's a toss up. Sometimes there's a lot. Sometimes it's just one other person, and you will go. I've gone against the same person in no gi at my rank, I think 6 or 7 times, to the point where we're like, okay, I'm sick of you at this point.
Right.
So
well, the variety is kind of what you're looking for too when you compete. So it's a challenge for sure.
Now, did you first compete? I know, Ms. Heather, you competed first when you were a white belt. I can't remember, Alex, if you were a white belt when you first started competing, or was it a blue belt?
Nope. It was blue.
Okay. Okay.
I was happy to be a white belt as long as possible, and I was sad I got my blue belt. Because the belt it doesn't really matter to me, but getting the blue belt definitely lit something in me. Like I kind of felt like I needed to be worthy of it.
I like it. I like that idea. I must be
So-
worthy of the belt.
Yeah.
Upon me. Yes. I love it. So I guess, I mean, that's just the big question I had was, how do you go out, knowing you may not have a competitor? And I know it happened to me actually at American Nationals, where I was supposed to have we're supposed to have 2 or 3 people in our division, and we had 2 people basically drop out, and it was just 1v1 event. It's just so disheartening where that's about as big of a stage. Nationals is a huge stage, and it's mind-boggling to me that you register for it and then you don't show up. That's the most frustrating one. You don't want to get a gold from a no-show. You don't want that, of course, but
I don't want a participation award.
right. And of course, you take the medal. You don't tell people that.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I
won first.
Hey, I was very proud of my second place medal. Even if it was an in-house, I don't care. I earned it. I was so proud of myself.
Oh shoot. You're definitely a hard roll in that in-house. It's like, darn it. I can't move. That was a lot of fun. So as you're going through your jiu-jitsu journey, and looking back, what are some things that you've noticed that have changed about your game and your approach to jiu-jitsu, from now versus, first couple of months in? Has it, lit more
I
fire?
can actually see things now. I can see the opportunities for submissions, and I can slow it down and stay in a position and have a little bit more control than I did before.
Mhm.
I definitely think for me, when I first started, because I kind of do think of myself as like a barky little Chihuahua dog at people. And so I went in I got to go the fastest, push the hardest, gonna win. And with jujitsu, that just doesn't work. And so I definitely have seen over, the past 2 years, I've had to really refine, okay, this is how I play my closed guard game. Now this is my open guard strategy. I feel like I'm starting to develop layers to my jujitsu. And then I find that I watch a lot more jujitsu videos of girls with my body style. And so I'm able to study it and then try to mimic. Again, I'm very fortunate that I do, I live with a black belt who tutors me every day. He was jokingly telling me the other day, he's like, do you know how much someone would have to pay for all the private lessons you get? So I do acknowledge that is a little unique. And so a lot of times I feel like my knowledge of jujitsu is a lot greater than my ability to do jujitsu. Because I still don't think I'm very good, but I can recognize stuff a lot better than I could back in the day.
Oh, I'm about to say, it's like somebody turns the lights on, and after a little while. And the best analogy one of my coaches gave me about jujitsu is, for a new person, it's like trying to drink water out of a gushing fire hydrant. Yes. I mean, you can do it, but you may get hurt in the process.
Yes.
But oh man.
And I do find now that I can recognize okay, we can practice this technique, but this technique is not something I'm going to put into my game. I can start recognizing that now. I understand the importance of it, but this is definitely not my top thing that I want to do.
I got you. That's like whenever we go over, deep half at our gym, it's like, this is a bad idea for me.
That is so funny you mentioned that. We were working on that last night, and I was telling the coach, I was like, I hate this. I was like, I don't want somebody sitting on my head like that.
No.
But again, I think it's because, I think Sarah, me and you're in the same weight class,
Mhm.
and I don't want people on top of me like that.
No, I certainly don't. And so I can't get up for, because it's always, because you've met people like Sean, and he's come down to train, I think on Saturdays. I always try, for whatever reason, I try to do deep hap with him, and it does not end well. And so, and he's as nice as he can be about it, but yeah, no.
And there's definite a time and place for it. And some people, they rock that game, but it is not for me.
Meanwhile, I'm noticing Alex over there is quite quiet.
I've been trying to work deep half, but it's not as easy as they make it look to get there. And so sometimes I forget about it and I'm just like, ugh, but I'm trying to add it to my game.
Oh, sure.
Slowly.
And it's good to, like, even though it's the bane of my existence, it's good to recognize why I don't like it. And if I can try to find a way to get out of it, that's huge. It's kind of, when I teach, I taught darces and sneaky darces and all that kind of stuff last night for no-gi, which is my cup of tea. When I was teaching, and I said, so much about jujitsu is being able to, like y'all said, recognize things and then being able to respond. And, using that as you get to the next level of jujitsu, it's knowing what their response is going to be and then responding to that response. It's almost it really is human chess in so many ways. And so it's constantly evolving. It's every division, they may have a go-to move. They may have, the heavy pressure game and the higher weight categories. They used to have, primarily in the lower weight division, it was a lot of gangly open guard stuff. And now those games are changing because now people are responding to that. Now we've got to respond to the response. And so it's constantly an ebb and flow, I feel. Gosh, but I know I have talked to a lot of women in town. I don't know if y'all happen to bring it up in everyday conversation with jujitsu, but what is something, and I just happen to interact, people my age, which are not necessarily old, of course, but not necessarily spring chickens either. And what would be your advice, or how do you approach trying to invite someone to come to jujitsu that's, not the aggressive teenager, so to speak?
I mean, part of, in addition to my family doing jujitsu, part of the reason I got into it is because I moved into administration at a school, and now I'm the one that has to run and break up the fights. And several years ago, when I was breaking up my first fight, I realized I don't know anything about this. And so, I started training so that I could be comfortable in chaos. And so a lot of people at work kind of think I'm crazy because I do jujitsu, especially, coming in with black eyes or being injured. And I feel like a lot of times I just tell them how much I love it, how beneficial it is, not only, physically and mentally. I tell them it's extremely good stress relief. I mean, in education, it can be extremely stressful. And if I didn't have an outlet, I'm not quite sure how I could handle my day-to-day responsibilities. And so I just encourage them. I try never to pressure people to come. I just talk to them about how much I enjoy it and the benefits of it. Because honestly, I don't think you can convince somebody who isn't wanting to come.
No, you just tell them how much joy you find in it, how beneficial it is for you. My kids always tell me I'm a better mom and a better human after a class.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's very insightful of your children right there.
They're like, Mama, you need to go to jitsu.
What's that natural? I mean, that's exactly, I don't want to comment on how you are as a human after jujitsu, because I think you're great, but but it is that runner's high, that endorphin rush. You're happier in that pain and that discomfort. You get all those happy chemicals flooding your brain. So it's hard not to see the benefit of doing something that's physically taxing in a way that, quite frankly, a lot of us don't get on a day-to-day. I know, just speaking to our common experience in education, Heather, it's one of those things that if I didn't, I have other stress outlets than jujitsu. And of course, I think we all do, but there's something uniquely special about a physical stress release that involves some kind of a contact, whether that be boxing, whether that be jujitsu. It's able to, for me at least, I feel like I'm able to externalize whatever that problem is and then just let it go, like physically releasing it through punching a heavy bag or choking somebody out, ideally not getting choked out myself, but that is able to let me set it aside and then leave it on the mat. And then I can go on and be a better human afterwards, to your point.
Now, I won't lie, I have had some awkward situations because, the kids at school, some of them know I train. And I was actually at a class one day, and I'm at a school, there's a lot of kids. And so I was training with this teenage boy, and I was actually triangle choking him. And then as I'm, getting him in a triangle, I was like, oh my God, where do you go to school? And he told me, and I was like, oh gosh, let me let you go. That was fun. I don't think anyone at work ever let me live that down.
Oh, no.
So, listeners, please do not choke the children that you work with.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. No.
But no, it's great. I've talked to people and I've had some people that I've talked to that have given it a try. A lot of it's parents with kids, like their kids are more willing to give it a try. And then we've kind of noticed that once the kids train for a while, then sometimes the parents will actually start training. And that's always really exciting.
Yeah.
It becomes a whole family endeavor, and that just kind of bonds even further, a good family bond for sure. The only advice I have, just as somebody who did martial arts, a different one with her father, never spar with each other. So.
Well, I don't know that actually my son is 11 and he's like 103 pounds. And so he was so angry one day, just so angry, and he wouldn't talk to me, and so I was like, let's go to the mats. And he's not big enough yet to hurt me, which is another reason for training. But after going for a good 10-minute round, he started loosening up and enjoying it. And it really helped him be able to recapture his brain again and let the anger go and be able to talk to me again. So that was nice.
And see, me and my 9-year-old are both pretty hot-headed. And so we do drill a lot together with my husband, telling us what to do. And I busted his face the other day while I was trying to regard. And I think he had to send us both to timeout. So there's definite pros and cons to that.
For sure. Shoot, I refuse to roll or drill with my husband just because I say I have to go home with you.
Yeah.
And so.
Oh, my husband likes to tell people that he loves jujitsu because it's legal to choke out his wife. And he's so big and so strong. So when he was trying to show one of the newer teenagers, he's like, show him what a bow and arrow choke is. So I ran right over there and I was like, look, and he's like, it's like, so any chance I get, I return the favor.
I love it.
But I definitely think jujitsu has helped our marriage as well. We have another shared interest. Now I won't lie. Sometimes I'm like, please stop talking about jujitsu. But I definitely think it's been good for us as a couple as well.
And so y'all have goals and drive that's having a goal and a drive is really something that can unite two people for sure. I know that's how Ben and that's how we met, was through jujitsu. And so just all sorts of circumstances coming together on that one. But were y'all doing jujitsu, or did your husbands get you into it? Were you married, or were you dating at the time when you got into it? I think I know the answer to this, but.
So my husband was doing jujitsu before we were together.
Mhm.
And then we got married and he took about a 6-year break.
Oh, wow.
And then he got back into it. And I would always like kind of make fun of him, like, why do you want to go waller around with other men? And and so it wasn't really until my kids really got into it. And I had gained a ton of weight, was having a lot of like thyroid issues. And I was like, I've got to do something.
We were both a bit
chunky. Yes,
when
we
started.
were chunky. We liked pie. Then I started, but I will say my husband never pressured me
Mhm.
to do jujitsu. He said that he never wanted it to be something that he pushed on me.
My husband said he knew that if it was his idea, I would never do it.
Yeah.
So it had to be my idea. And he kind of put the idea out there, like planted the seed.
Mhm.
But we wanted the kids to learn self-defense. And after extensive research, we decided on jiu-jitsu being the best
Mhm.
for them, especially since they could like put all their intensity in it and still not probably get hurt.
Yeah.
So
You train it right. Yeah.
I've gotten to the point where when I compete, a lot of times, like sometimes I'll go compete at tournaments where maybe there isn't a big gym turnout or things. And so I've gotten to the point where I only let my husband coach me
Mhm.
because he knows my game so well. So again, that's been neat for us.
Mhm.
I'm not sure how much he loves that, but for when I go sulk when I lose.
Yeah.
But it's been a neat bonding experience.
Yeah. I know. Then 9 times out of 10, it's well, I'll say not. It's a 50-50 shot when I go compete if I'm going to have like our main coach, Eric, with us, because he's a pastor, well, a youth minister pastor, so he can't go away a lot on the weekends, and so Ben ends up being my de facto coach. But I'm a little too salty and sassy to listen to him. And my father, one time, I was up in Jackson at an AGF. He happened to come and watch. And he said, you're giving Ben these horrible, just dirty looks. I said, I was really frustrated, Dad. But
and then we laugh because when we compete, so my husband actually, he is not affiliated with the gym I'm affiliated with.
Mm-hmm.
He trains primarily at a different gym.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's interesting when we're at tournaments competing together because we're on different teams.
Yeah.
So, and it's just because he trains during the middle of the day. I train at night, and we live, far away from different gyms. So it's always funny to us. Like, we have the different team shirts on.
But yeah, so I think that was something that I think is great that we've kind of talked about, that it's, jujitsu is it's really great for so many things. It's great for kids. It's great for, marriages, and it's great for people who may be older and they think they can't do anything. I hate to say it that way, but I've talked to some of my friends that are my mother's age, and they think that all they can do is just stretch, and I have to stress to them that no, don't, you can do so much more. Don't just give up. I don't want to say it that way, but for a lot of intents and purposes, they start physically giving up when they get to be in their late 50s, early 60s, or even earlier. They don't think, oh, I got a bad knee, I can't do this, I can't do that. It's a whole bunch of I can't. But I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like if they try it and they realize that, jujitsu is as intense as you want to make it. You can. It's. I know. We had a guy one time at our gym up in Jackson that I was a part of once upon a time before I got married. He's in his mid 60s. And my father is just a few years younger than him. His birthday's actually today. And I begged my father, come out, just try it out. Go with Mr. Floyd, go with him. He's great. He's going to match it. And Mr. Floyd may have been the, the slowest, quote unquote, person on the mats, but he is the one you did not want to go with because it was like rolling with a steamroller. It was slow, but once he got there, it was over. So,
well, they had the other day on one of the women's jiu-jitsu Facebook groups, they were posting, this gym was posting, she was 65-year-old blue belt looking for a match at Masters in September. And I thought, how cool is that? So she had to have started jiu-jitsu in her 60s, which I think is just, it's very inspirational, I think.
Well, what my husband likes to say is, as you get older and as you age, you're gonna hurt. It's inevitable. So are you just going to sit there and let things start hurting, or are you going to like hurt because you're actually doing something to work on yourself? Because you're going to hurt either way. So you just got to choose.
Yeah. And I think being active as you get older and not try to do it all like, as a Hail Mary at the end, but if you stay active, mentally, you're going to stay sharper. That might help stave off some, age-related, mental cognition issues, or even other health ailments. I'm thinking about my two grandmothers, one just sat down on the couch and she is in massive decline. And I have another one who has never stopped doing things. And it's just a night and day difference, basically the same age, but you would think they were, decades apart. And so I just think something like jujitsu or, anything active that keeps you moving is huge for your mental health and huge for your longevity.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess anything that y'all would like to throw out, anything on y'all's radar, anything coming up in your lives that we should be notified about?
I don't think so. I'm ready to get back into competing. I don't know if it'll be this season. And I might have to go for the 2023 competition season. My goal is to do the big tournaments next year. I'd like to do Pans and Worlds and American Nationals. So I already told my husband, I was like, get ready, we're going. Just to see. I can go lose with the best of them.
Yeah. Put a positive spin on it. Yeah. I know New Orleans is close, and that'll come back around in the spring, I guess.
Yeah, they normally do a spring and they do a fall. They actually did this one earlier.
Yeah.
Which was a little surprising. So I'm still debating. Got till the 22nd to see how the old knee's doing.
There you go. And there's also evidently a Southern or Southeastern Submission Classic women's division in Pensacola. I think it's no-gi only. So, if you wanted to get greased up and roll out there, you could do that. So
I'm not going to lie. I don't think and I don't want to talk for you, Alex, but I don't think either one of us are fans of the no-gi. And I think I don't, it may just be because none of the other girls really do no-gi or the men are really sweaty.
I like it because I like the gi because it keeps most of my sweat on me and most of the sweat on the outside from other people.
Oh my. It hurts my heart. That's my favorite thing because it's hard to hold me down.
My husband always tells me if I would give it like a real chance, I'd probably like it. And he said you'd probably be good at it. But no, I'm sorry. He would never say I'd be good at it. But he said I'd probably do better at it. But I haven't gone back to no-gi since my injury, just because I've had to really change my game up a lot.
Right.
So, but once I'm fully recovered, we'll see.
Yeah. You never know. Never say never.
That's right.
Yeah. You never know.
5 years ago, I would have said never to jiu-jitsu. So,
and here we are.
That's right.
All right. Well, y'all, thank you for your time coming out and sharing your experience on the podcast. And we look forward to seeing what you do in the future with your competitions and training.
All right. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.